Alright, so now that we've added, let's turn our attention to subtraction. And before I do that, I want to kind of go back a few lessons ago about what happens when we subtract a sum, or even if I forgot to put a subtracted difference. And basically what we're doing is we're distributing the negative, so distributing the minus. So if I literally distributed the minus, right, we'd have a negative 3 plus a negative 4. And of course, if I add a negative 4, that's the same thing as subtracting 4. And so that is what you need to see what's happening. Of course, we get negative 7. But notice that all the signs inside here changed. I went from we had a positive 3, it's now a negative 3. We were adding 4, it's now minus 4. So that's what happens. There's a sign change when we basically go through the subtraction, or when we're taking the opposite of a sum. Same thing with an opposite of a difference. If we literally did the distribution, right, we'd have that minus stays as minus, and we're distributing, right, the minus, the negative 3, and the negative 4. Of course, when I subtract a negative, that's the same thing as adding its opposite. And so there's the key, right? So essentially all the signs change. 3 became negative 3, subtraction became addition. So again, the sign is changing, and in this case we get 1. So that is a recall that we need in order to subtract fractions, because again here there's parentheses floating around, but it's just to indicate that we're subtracting this binomial from this binomial. So to perform the subtraction, the first thing I'll have to do is distribute that minus, which, as we saw, changes the signs. So all the signs change behind it. You're distributing it. And then we're back to combining like terms. So 5x take away 3x is 2x, and plus 7 minus 2 gives us a plus 5. So we're basically back to combining like terms after we've handled that distribution of the minus, right? Changing the signs. Trying to get a little harder here, we're subtracting a couple of trinomials. Again, there's nothing we can do inside, nothing we can do inside, and nothing being distributed here, so I can just drop the parentheses. And then here, as we distribute, right, all the signs basically change. Right, what's positive is a minus, what's minus is now positive, what's positive, what's was a plus is now minus. Sign change. And we're back to combining like terms. So there's a couple terms with x squared. I've got 2 of them. I'm taking away 1, so we get x squared, right? And then here's a term with x, and there's a term with x. We're subtracting 3 and adding 2, so the net effect is just 1 or minus x. And then, of course, there's a plus 5 and a minus 3, so when I combine those, I get a plus 2. And then there's our answer. For those who like to do these vertically, be careful. You still have to contend with we're subtracting. So I would line it up. I would take my first polynomial, right? So 2x squared minus 3x plus 5. And then when I align it the next one, I have to change the signs everywhere we go. Right, so that's how I account. I'm doing the sign change and lining things up vertically if you choose to do that. And of course, if you combine like terms, you should and you will get the same answer. So again, just be careful when you're subtracting. We have to change the signs behind it. And again, one more attempt to try to make this difficult. Let's throw some fractions. Again, if we distribute the minus, we're going to change the signs in the polynomial that's being subtracted. Let me bring the like terms a little closer together, and then we're baked like we did in the last example, where in order to add or subtract fractions, we need an LCD. So here it's 24, 6 over 6 and 4 over 4 will get the trick done. So 6 over 24x minus 4 over 24x. And that will be going to positive 2 over 24x. Reduces, right? 2 goes itself once and there 12 times. So we get 1/12 x for the terms with x in it. For these guys, the LCD is 6. So a 3 over 3 and a 2 over 2. That gives us minus 3/6 and plus 2/6. So that basically gives us a negative 1/6. And there's basically your subtraction. All right, so subtraction, key, distribute that minus, and then you're off to the races and just combining like terms. All right, we'll look at an application in the next video.